Bridgetown RPM show. And our first table is the Spokane, Portland, and Seattle Historical Society. If you're interested, they have a set of decals for the RS3 models that are being produced for a different paint job, apparently. And blueprints of various passenger cars and models of the same. Structures. A donkey engine and the 16 wheel car that moved it. That's a standard single privy. Yes, the toilets were standardized on the SP&S. Moving over to the next. Sugar Pine. Okay, this is the Sugar Pine shop at bigcartel.com. So this is Jeff Johnson and his Sugar Pine Lumber Company and the Minaret and Western, which he modeled to an incredible level of detail, as you can see. The machine shop there, a small warehouse in back, a sand house, flat cars, a Norby track layer, various camp cars that looks like winch cars. Going by this photo, I'd say they're part of a spar tree setup. A gas-powered donkey, scratch built except for a 3D printed engine and drum kit. So I think that may be this one here. Alright. Gotham Rail and Marine is releasing a new set of diesel horns, air horns, for Southern Pacifics. And Christopher Barney has a 3D printed cement plant, looks like in scale, and loads 3D printed loads for N scale center beams. Todd Schwenk has a large collection of flatbeds and loads here. An HO scale. And he's found a company called the Miniature Tanks Company, which is useful for loads. See some equipment I recognize in there. Richard Yermiko. I'm probably butchering that name. I apologize, Richard. It's a HO scale Great Northern Modeler. It's going to be post-1962 because that's when the GP30s came out. In fact, the ones in front appear to be, or the ones next to the 30s appear to be 35s. So, would appear to be mid-60s. Because, of course, by the end of the 60s, the Great Northern was part of the Burlington Northern. We got Larry Bischoff's Northern Pacific. So we've now seen SP&S, which he also has, Northern Pacific, and Great Northern. Larry is actually pretty eclectic, with a DDA 35 here, rebuilt from a wide-body Athearn. As he said, his tabletop saw blade was 1 scale foot wide. It just took it right out the middle. The C15 back there, or C415, is pre-Bowser, and you may have seen announcements for the next run of the Pico Kraus Maffei's that they'd modified, the Rio Grande modified before sending them over to Southern Pacific. Well, this is effectively the same model, except it's pre-Pico. This is a AHM model from the 70s or 80s that he modified into that particular one. And if you like big center cabs, that is a DT66 2000, which I think makes it a Baldwin product. Oh yeah. And there's an RSD5 Hammerhead that he built out of an Atlas body and chassis with Stewart and Bowser Phase 3 sides. And we have John Black, obviously models the Milwaukee Road. And there's BC Hydro that he's been having some fun with. Some Scale Trains SC38-2s. The GMD ones are for sale. And here he's been modifying assorted Southern Pacific models. Scale Trains, tunnel motor and a 45. And a Rapido SD10. Adding lights and other details. Tim Jamin has looks like a cut nose, either a chopped nose, or I think they had some of them that were factory built, GP9, Southern Pacific, and some in progress boxcars. We have a couple of Western Pacific locomotives here. And this is by Mark McLeod. He has this table. So the Western Pacifics are his, although Tom Anderson actually did the weathering on them. He did the detailing. And then he's got the Rainbow Era Amtrak 5 and 6, which is, I think they called it the Cal Zephyr. Two of the cars here are brass. The rest are all plastic, and it's not easy to tell the difference.
That's why I tell everybody, because with the open top,
Plus, he's got some additional locomotives and other cars here.
You'd have to go in there with the book and say it needs this many cross members, they have to be this high. And the reason why is because the AAR has that test track in Colorado, and they blow this thing smithereens. Everything that's being loaded has been approved through a series of beatdowns.
Dave Maffei has a SP lumber train that, since rail trains are actually kind of long, he's had to break into two.
And they'll charge the car, not the car owner, but the shipper, if we got to readjust the load.
Jumping across the aisle and not dropping things. We have Paul Max, Burlington Northern, Montana Rail Link, assorted weathered rolling stock. And you might wonder about the Athearn Hustler, but I think the plastic shell is the only thing original on it. He's rebuilt the frame and everything. It's all welded. And he 3D printed a 370-ton flat car, QTTX. Okay. Craig Townsend, a noted 129th scale modeler. He's currently rebuilding or building, looks like actually scratch building, a BN caboose that was decorated for the DARE program. And there's a Burlington Northern Maintenance of Way shed in Woodinville, Washington. which he is also detailing the insides of. Trucks don't come in 1/29th scale, they come in 1/25th scale, but that's close enough. But these are 1/29th scale. Okay. An in progress RS3 by Andy Carlson. Andy is also apparently scratch building a stock car that was rebuilt from a box car and a rebuilt box car. He's working on the sides here. I cannot actually read the name of the person who's modeling this, but it's a very nice collection. If you want more details, check out my still photos of them. I'll put a link in the description. And Daniel S. Cooks. This GMD1 is actually currently in use by the Clackamas Valley Railway. I actually went out a couple weeks ago and took pictures of the thing, as I had just discovered the fact the railway existed. It's about 2 miles long, it's an industrial park, and it would be a great single-person layout. You practically don't even have to compress it. And here we're going into Brian Sopke's collection. Several cars that appear to be from home shops with the freelance railroads on them. Possibly some locomotives similarly done up. His own home road, the Benton and Southern. Including one of the first sesquicentennial, I think they're calling it, locomotives that I've seen in modeled for 2026. This is Brian Eschlip. I think that's the pronunciation. And he has quite the collection here. The caboose in the center there is actually 3D printed. He's got a Elco T6 on an Atlas S4 underframe with a brass body. He also has brass C415s and others. Some very nice models in here. Also of interest, he has a couple of narrow gauge locomotives. That's a Rapido 44 tonner that he regauged. And the other model uses an Atlas, I think it's RSD5 or RSD5 frame, a 3D printed shell, and the original Atlas trucks and all that just regauged. And apparently trimmed the gears and squeezed the wheels in. Robert Case has these center beams with loads, gondolas with lids, and the 737 cars. Dale Catherine, who appears to be preparing to take all of my raffle prizes from me, has the two steam locomotives here. I think it's an RS.
It's an RS3.
RS3, okay. Well, I thought it is only 4 axles. Okay, hard to see. And Somebody thinks that Dale has a real first generation EMD problem between the GP9s and the SD9s.
Sometimes there's oddballs like the MK5000.
Which, it's on Utah rails these days, isn't it?
Not anymore. They're deadlined out in Kyle.
Ah.
Off on the Kyle.
The flanger is a brass model that Dale painted himself, as is at least one of these SD9s. I'll let you guess which one. Here, Mike Folletti, a series of gondolas and other cars, including the only ammonia tank car he actually has a wheel report on. Covered hoppers in progress. And when you want to move a scale car and don't want to have to tow it at a very low rate of speed, you put it on its own flatbed. Kyle Carlson brought a collection of vehicles. And a pair of nicely weathered and updated locomotives here from Casey.
He did.
Yep. You know his first name's Casey, you don't know his last name. All right, we have a new manufacturer here, Common Standard Scale Models out of San Francisco area. 3D printed passenger cars and structures. And in addition to that, at least one guy I know from the Stockton, San Francisco area was apparently very familiar with these structures and was drooling over them earlier. He's also making 3D printed plows with different MU hose door positions. There's one thing apparently the modelers told him, and that he has some photos of, is that the SDP 45s frequently did not have the MU hoses hanging out the front. So they had the doors closed on the snow plows. And so he is making a variety of SD 45 or SDP 45 standard pilot plows in different configurations, and also some other more generic, I believe, Southern Pacific plows.
I'm trying to tell them to do some of these cars.
Then we get to Bob Cromwell's Caboose Palooza, among other models. Owl Mountain Models wood loads on these cars. Electrical transformer kit on that one. And Jonathan Eisen did the Russell plow and the SD70M. Rick Ernst is building this N-scale wood kit of a reefer car. He thinks the box is from at least the 70s. I suspect it may be just a touch older. Can't be that old because N-scale didn't begin until the late 60s, I think. But it's a Pennsylvania X23 wood kit conversion to a dry ice car. And then And Raul Perez built the Bingen Iron Works machine shop. It's fully detailed and lit and has an interior. Let's see what we can see here. Sorry. Yes, you can see stuff inside there. That is an impressive, very small model. Jeff Nichols has a collection of Northern Pacific cars. Wood chip hoppers or wood chip gons, box cars, and maintenance away cars, bunk cars. Bob Makins has this collection, also Northern Pacific. Structures, locomotives, cars, cabooses, and very small structures, like a signal maintainer's oil house, a trackside phone booth. All right, so we have a vendor here. Lowell Smith's Railsmith passenger cars and N scale.
We've done some looking at that, and there's actually quite a few new models.
I believe he lives over in Bend.
Last year, I'm pitching for them to do that.
And purchased the Walther's passenger line in N scale, and has been improving and expanding upon it since then. Another vendor here is Details in Scale, which, despite the big N in the name, is not their only thing. They do also HO scale, as we will see on the other half of the display. Lots of wood loads. Then Kyle Gaba has a display of HO scale steam here that he was working on completing. I think he'll have it done by next year.
Most likely.
And to my surprise, that partial daylight paint scheme is actually prototypical. He's on several Southern Pacific locomotives. And Heather, what is Heather's last name?
Clark.
Heather Clark. She does a lot of work in brass, particularly with paint jobs, painting brass, and detailing. Same. And always brings a very nice display. Raffle table, artwork, models, detail, decals. This is actually a full train with a locomotive, 16 cars, and a caboose. Rail train hobbies sent along some decals, microscale decals, Ricks and Pike stuff materials. It's like the current Bachman Cranes catalogs in there. I think those were basically just a handout. Vehicles, a couple of the details and scale loads. Cars, a weathered tank car from Grimeseen Railroad, collection of Bowser cars, somebody doesn't want to keep their paints, and these are all out of production paints, so if they're the sort of stuff you're used to using and you're running out, this could be a very nice win. Railroad China artwork. A clock. Can't tell if it's an official regulator or not. And since the first time I was over here, I didn't actually have the button push to record. Oops. This is a display by the Willamette Model Railroad Club, commonly known as the Clacko Club. They literally dug out the basement of the building there underneath for their railroad.
Okay.
And they are currently engaged in installing what most railroads called CTC, but the Western Pacific calls TCS.
Nice meeting you and good talking with you. Just keep
Jim Muma is the
like I said,
electrical guy pushing that. They've got about half the railroad installed already.
If you want tickets, I'd suggest get them now.
So we print the base,
Raffle starts
and there's
right at 1 o'clock.
a companion.
Well, I know where I'll be in a half an hour at the raffle.
Layout, did it with matching magnets.
Okay.
And there's a hole in it.
All right.
The connector through.
Okay.
Those bases.
But they're basically designing their own layout signal system from scratch. It does use JMRI for control. Half the railroad is track warrant, the other half is the TCS, until they get the TCS installed on the other half.
You got to get exactly right.
So, as a model railroad, they're discovering and rediscovering a lot of things that the prototype did. And Grimm Brothers models, 3D printed logging vehicle equipment and wood chips. Everything's 50% off, which is pretty nice. Gonna have to make sure I grab one of these DVDs just because. Yes, Winter Rail is on March 28th at Lynn Benton Community College, which is a new location. Vic Neves, who runs Winter Rail, brought this model of HO scale Southern Pacific number 23 depot from Oakdale, California, built by Dave Bardwell. That's just amazingly nice looking model. And that is the 2026 Bridgetown RPM.